The anxiety was like static electricity crackling through the tunnel as halftime drew near. It was the end of one of the most severe quarters in Indiana Fever history. But in the dressing room, things were not nearly as organized. Caitlin Clark rushed toward the seat, her jaw clenched and her eyes like daggers. Coach Stephanie White followed closely after, trying to provide directions over the throng of people with her clipboard in hand. Then it happened. Even if the cameras did not record the words, the emotion was clear. Clark, obviously annoyed, turned in mid-step and faced quite directly. She shook her head, pointed to the court, and snapped something, causing even the assistant coaches to freeze. It was not too dramatic. It was sincere. This was not a diva's ostentatious breakdown. This elite competitor called for openness, independence, and leadership. If you would want to see the unfiltered version of the story instead of the filtered one, subscribe today. If you want to remain for the next meltdown, you should definitely subscribe. If you follow Clark's career from the packed college stadiums in Iowa to the record-breaking WNBA audiences, you can tell right away that she does not sugarcoat anything. She plays with the fervor of someone trying to alter the rules in real time. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video. She is also direct and opinionated. However, this was different at this specific time. It was more important than skipping a rotation or having one bad quarter. It was about the future of the Fever and whether or not Caitlin Clark would be able to be herself in this brand. To tell the truth, Clark did not sign with the WNBA to be a supporting cast member. For 4 years, she was either ignored or told to slow down so someone else could dribble the time down, despite the fact that she had lit up college basketball. Because of her style, which includes quick threes, no-look passes, and quick breaks that start with a rebound, fans are paying to see her. But since coming to Indiana, she has remained cautious. On the one side, you have the conventional way of thinking, low-scoring slugfests, grinded-out possessions, and settings built to support 10-year veterans. Coach White is comfortable in this circumstance. 35-foot branding shots and conspicuous transitional crossings do not appeal to her. Her role is to run plays through the veterans while maintaining discipline and control. On the other hand, Clark's vision for the game includes up-tempo, chaos, speed, space offense, and creative freedom. She was yelling plenty with her snap at halftime, and she is revolutionary rather than reckless. It has been evolving for a few weeks, one might say. The plays when Kelsey Mitchell dribbled into a contested mid-range shot while Clark was totally frozen out, the miscuts, the delayed rotations. Beyond his emotions, Clark was irritated. They computed it. She is reading the floor 3 steps ahead while the system holds her back like sandbags on a rocket ship. By the start of the third quarter, everything had changed. Clark came out with an entirely different demeanor and anger in her eyes. She seemed to be switching a switch. She went from being a facilitator to an assassin after making 3 deep threes in less than 5 minutes. As the crowd went crazy and sat on the bench, Coach White said nothing. The squad has clearly improved since Clark assumed leadership. Suddenly, the ball began to move. Co-workers were opening up by deliberately screening and cutting more firmly. Natasha Howard, who had been rigidly arming the offense, finally started to move at Clark's speed. Instead of pressing shots, Kelsey Mitchell provided Clark a transition assist, maybe sensing the shift. After a 30-point quarter, the team looked more like a postseason contender than a mid-tier mess. The post-game news conference was a labyrinth, of course. Coach White responded in a conventional manner. "We made a modification." "Well, that was a terrific second-half effort," the squad replied, ignoring what had clearly occurred on national television. Not a word about the altercation. But, Clark, she did not sidestep it. "We are trying to create something here, and sometimes that involves having unpleasant debates because we want to triumph," she said, maintaining a steady stare. "I want to win." Interpretation: I am not here to be courteous. I am here to take the initiative. And you know what? She is not wrong. If they want to win, the Fever has to hand her the keys and step aside. She is more than simply their leading scorer. She is their greatest passer, floor general, communicator, and, in the end, their best chance to create a modern identity. The WNBA is evolving. Star power, speed, and spacing are replacing the traditional methods. Clark is everything and more. However, that shift will not be easy. There are still veterans in that locker room who feel they have paid more dues. Some coaches still believe that organization is the key to safety. Some in the media continue to think that Clark's confidence is a sign of conceit. But here's the thing. Hesitancy is not the foundation of dynasties. They are based on courage, vision, and letting your best players mold the culture. And culture is at risk in this situation. There are more factors besides play calls and stat lines. The dilemma is whether the Indiana Fever want to remain a club trapped in mediocrity, a mix of outdated strategies and seasoned egos, or whether they are ready to be the team that rides with Caitlin Clark into the future. The fans have made the choice. In the arena, they yell her name. The item is selling out quickly. ESPN cuts to her reactions each time the ball is in her hands. She is more than just a beginner. She is a revolution. Like the halftime explosion, every revolution starts with the star finally saying out loud what everyone has been thinking. It is sufficient. I will execute it. What happened at halftime was just a spark. But at the moment, a far bigger problem is becoming more prevalent. In Indiana and around the league, there is a smoldering problem. To be clear, when Caitlin Clark raged at her coach, she was not only speaking for herself. She was speaking on behalf of all athletes who had ever had an overly rigid system keep them from realizing their full potential. For every star who is told to obey commands rather than taking the initiative, and for every novice who is expected to do the same. This is not merely a power struggle. The cultural battle between tradition and change in women's basketball is just getting underway. Stephanie White is an example of a generation of coaches that develop their strategies via practice, discipline, and a one-size-fits-all playbook. To be fair, when a league was fighting for awareness and stability in the early 2000s, that tactic worked. It was successful. In the past, gaining reputation appeared to depend on making as few mistakes as possible. However, things will be different in the 2025 WNBA. More than just efficacy is what fans want. They are trying to find flair. They want stars. They want speed, attitude, and 30-foot daggers that light up Twitter in real time. They want to feel feeling again. And Caitlin Clark always makes me feel that way. She is not a perfect athlete. She is not flawless. When she gets heat check injections, even devoted fans hold their breath. But you know what else she does? She puts pressure on defenses as soon as the ball touches her hands. She sees passes before they get there. She helps teammates, rivals, and the league as a whole play better. This coaching clash is crucial because of this. Disrespect has nothing to do with it. It is related to alignment. At the moment, Caitlin Clark is acting in a role-playing framework like a generational star. It is also seen in the body language and the rhythm of the game. The pace slows and the attack falters. Clark stands with his hands raised as another possession perishes in a corner. Moreover, contrary to popular belief, this is not a single game. This is a trend. The distance between a forward-thinking company and one that is too conservative to stay up is gradually widening. The video transcript makes it clear that not everyone is ready for the Clark era, so let us talk about the locker room now. There are guys on our squad, especially veterans, who feel they ought to have decision-making power. For example, Kelsey Mitchell has been the face of the Fever for years. It is also clear how tense her play is. It is generational rather than personal. The ISOs, the poor passes, and the incapacity to alter Clark's pace. Moreover, this issue is not exclusive to Indiana. This happens every time a fresh talent joins a squad with a lot of veterans. There is pride, ego, and the dread of being overtaken or replaced. But here's the disturbing truth. If they want to win, the Fever must choose vision before comfort. And for now, Clark is the vision. It is essential to adapt. She has to pass the ball when she asks for it. Instead of limiting her, this calls for guidance. Instead than encouraging her to alter who she is in order to fit in with someone else's, it involves concentrating the system on her strengths. A front office also has to stop playing both sides. Indiana is in the middle right now. Make an effort to both satisfy its veterans and profit off the enthusiasm Clark generates. But that is not sustainable. You risk losing her after her rookie contract ends if you do not invest on her generational ability. Not to mention that Clark has options. She already has widespread recognition. She may move out of Indiana and keep dominating headlines, merchandise, and sponsorships. But if she remains, it must be because she was the team's primary goal, not the other way around. Let us also talk about the impact the halftime altercation had on the league as a whole. The moment the video surfaced on social media, podcasts, TikTok edits, and discussion shows, all of which tell different stories, it went global. Some see Clark as a disrespectful newbie who challenges authority. Because she finally demanded accountability and direction, others called her a breath of fresh air. But there was no denying that she did shift the needle once again. Because that kind of cultural weight involves both opportunity and responsibility, here is where things start to get interesting. Clark is doing more than simply shaping her team's personalities. She is altering the discourse on women's basketball coaching, coverage, and consumption. She is proving that WNBA players are capable of having goals, arguments, and ideas. This is leadership, not diva behavior. Think about the way we cover NBA players. We do not blink, Luka Doncic screamed at Jason Kidd. We recognize that disagreement is an essential part of intense competition. But when Caitlin Clark does the same, it garners media attention. It is a scandal. It is disrespectful. The loud double standard is what Clark is facing. But there will definitely be resistance to that task. From commentators who believe rookies will be grateful and silent to coaches who see a threat to their authority. From supporters who want her to follow her own path. But in reality, she does not have a lane. She is building a road. The most ironic thing is that the Fever are now playing better basketball after that confrontation. The offense is now more laid back. The pace has increased. Without the ball, players are really moving, and the team is scoring goals more efficiently. It is like a surprise. When you trust your generational point guard, your team performs better. This is what is going to occur next. If the Indiana Fever are serious about winning games, not just tickets and clicks, they need to have some tough conversations. They have to decide whether Stephanie White is the ideal coach for this club going forward. They have to decide whether this core should include veterans who are resistant to change. They also need to provide Caitlin Clark both freedom and support since no one succeeds in limbo. You may either strengthen your star or turn into the squad that had her and let her leave. Let us talk about the rippling effect because of Caitlin Clark's outburst at her coach. That was not just a Fever problem. Coaches and general managers in WNBA locker rooms had to sit up and ask themselves one simple question once the league as a whole heard that broadcast notice. Are we going to be the next? Because it changes the league's gravity when a player with Clark's stature, popularity, and brand equity takes that type of narrative control. Not only is she enjoying herself, but she is also rewriting the power system. There is more to this than just basketball. Let us be precise. It has to do with media, attention economy, and branding. Tickets are expensive and jerseys sell out every time Caitlin Clark visits a new city. Local news outlets that have not covered the WNBA in 10 years suddenly send cameras. She is the first athlete in years to influence markets outside of basketball. She has some impact off the court since the league and sponsors pay attention to her when she speaks, whether at a press conference or, yes, at a heated halftime moment. Check out the Fever Game's current packaging. During prime time, they are getting coverage. All of a sudden, ESPN panelists include the WNBA in their summary. Not because the league's quality was finally acknowledged, but rather because Caitlin Clark's existence made it difficult to ignore. Let us talk about brand deals as well. Do you really think Nike launched a customized sneaker for a rookie only because she is good at threes? No. They chose not to forward with the transaction since Clark creates conflict and narrative identity. Three things are the passions of marketers. Her brand was untouched by the incident at Halheim. It built it. It proved she is not just here to take pictures and smile. She wants to win, and you can sell that storyline. But this also raises the stakes for the Fever organization. You now have a player that increases your team's total financial effect in addition to your box score. If you are not making the most of it, you are not only failing her. If you are employing outdated sets that restrict her potential, you are also failing your partners, investors, and fans. In relation to fans, let us discuss the new audience that Clark is drawing in. She is drawing both diehards and casuals. She attracts college fans who have never seen a WNBA game. She attracts those who are more interested in numbers and vibes. It is not a terrible thing since this league has always deserved more attention. And Clark is pulling them in whether they want to or not. But fresh eyes also mean new expectations. People want motion offenses, highlight plays, emotive players, and fast-paced drama. They do not want to see 17 straight post-ups or 30-second shot clock grinds that end with force jumpers. They want to move quickly. They are trying to find flair. They also want to make their celebrity more powerful. This makes the Fever's present approach look out of date. You have a gang that continuously dims the lights and a league that is finally receiving notice. We must change it. Other athletes are observing Caitlin Clark's recent actions in Indiana. Let us pan out now. Young guards on teams who are rebuilding and second-year forwards stuck behind veterans who cannot pass. They are watching how Clark uses her voice and how her brand responds. If the offense, the coaching, and the Fever backer are all altered, there will be a fresh wave of player empowerment. Not because they have given in, but because they know they can. Other stars will start to make system demands. Clark just shown that it is possible. But if they ignore her and bury her talent in inadequate space and outdated play calling, the Fever will set a dangerous precedent. If the NBA ordered other rookies to be quiet and tiny, it would be a major missed opportunity since this is the truth. The claim that Caitlin Clark is a unicorn is untrue. She is the first of many. The pipeline is full. A wave is approaching. Hannah Hidalgo, Paige Beckers, and Guju Watkins. These women will also not pretend to be kind in order to gain favor. They grew up watching LeBron make choices in Los Angeles. They have seen Steph Curry reimagine an offensive plan. They understand that stars do not form systems. Rather, systems shape stars. And the WNBA has to make a decision. You risk losing them if you do not adapt to them. Not only in video games but in real life as well. Let us talk about Coach Stephanie White again now. To examine, not to condemn. She is an excellent instructor. She is a character from the first season. But sometimes it might be the problem. Coaches who are decades old often depend on what has worked in the past. They envision chaos when they watch fast-paced basketball. They detect logo threes and think irrationally. When kids see players barking during huddles, they interpret it as disobedience. What they lack, nevertheless, is the formation of leadership. Clark's rage at halftime had nothing to do with ego. It is related to urgency. It was about saying, "We can win if you allow us." Leadership is that, yes, messy, it is emotional, but it is real, and if White or any coach does not accept it, they will keep losing the locker room one star at a moment. There has not been enough talk about this. Clark's encounter may have prevented a Fever season. Sometimes things need to break before they can be fixed. There are times when the communication portion has to be spoken aloud. That is what Clark did. She disclosed that everyone was already under stress. And there is a path forward now that the company has no more excuses. They have seen what happens when they adopt a Clark-style approach. You get 99 points. There is room for you. You feel fluidity. You get results. How are they going to use the information? After that, tuck it under the rug. May finally develop a system that gives her total authority. The destiny of this franchise for the next 3 years will depend on the choice they choose. The worst thing is this. Maybe the next time Clark loses it, it will not be during a game. Stars do not hold out forever. Therefore, it may occur during a contract meeting, during a trade demand, or during the off-season. Not in the current game. Not when they know how valuable they are. Not with everyone watching. You are sitting next to the court. The crowd is captivating. The cameras are moving. Then, as halftime draws near, bam! Tension is rising. It is more than just a dispute. It goes beyond a simple miscommunication. It is a conflict. Caitlin Clark, the rising star of the WNBA, is screaming at Stephanie White, the head coach. And everyone in the league is watching. It does not seem like a special occasion. It seems to be the outcome of weeks or perhaps months of mounting strain, missed potential, and an attitude so inconsistent that they may as well be playing 2 different games. This goes beyond a single game. Identity is at stake here, let us be honest. Who is responsible for the Indiana fever? Either the old guard adhering to structure or the phenomena altering the rules. Behind-the-scenes conversations are becoming more open and honest. League sources claim that Clark has often tried to speak out during team meetings. She has pitched faster tempo settings. She has offered suggestions on player rotation and space. She has highlighted the team's transition responses' glaring inefficiencies and, for the most part, silence. Sources claim that when Coach White benched Clark for an important possession in the fourth quarter of a tight game, the frustration reached a breaking point. It was purportedly for leisure. However, onlookers saw Clark tightening her jaw, crossing her arms, and avoiding eye contact as her side failed on offense once again. Is this the beginning of a full-scale uprising? It is impossible not to wonder. It becomes even more juicy at this point. It is becoming more clear that Clark is not alone. Rookies, second-year students, and younger athletes who grew up seeing her supremacy at Iowa are quietly endorsing her objectives. They want a faster offense, less ISO play, more ball movement, and more trust in modern, analytics-driven basketball. One assistant coach reportedly confided in a colleague, "We are trying to drive our modern Ferrari like a 1990s Buick." That does not denigrate Stephanie White. There is no doubting the difference in manner, even if she is a respected basketball specialist. The Fever are toward the bottom of the league due of their speed. You go offensive when Clark has a chance to take charge. The images seem to be yelling what Clark is too agitated to say out loud. On the other hand, the locker room dynamics are cold. In one case, after another missed transfer chance, Clark approached a coworker. The teammate reportedly took revenge. "You are not alone on this squad." The atmosphere shifted. The eyes flickered. There was tension in the room. That was a crucial time. There was a quiet split between those who accepted Clark as a future and others who obstinately clung to their seniority. It would be reasonable to anticipate a 99-point offensive outburst versus the Dallas Wings with quiet critics. But no. Several onlookers called it a fluke. Others claim that Clark's statistic was exaggerated. However, pay attention to the tape. It is undeniable when she sets the pace. The Fever not only looks like a playoff team, but they also seem to be having fun. The chemistry has increased with rookies like Lexi Hull and Victoria Saxton. Quick decisions, relentless speed, and off-ball movement. It is the kind of basketball that fills stadiums and floods highlight reels. And that tactic, not just marketing. The situation is just as serious off the court. In private, anxiety is growing even though Clark's camp has remained professional. They are not asking for special treatment. They are asking for common sense. The system is based on a generational point guard, not because of one. Some media outlets have raised the possibility of a coaching change. Would the front desk genuinely take that into account? Would they be brave enough? In public, the Fever continues to support Stephanie White, but in private, pressure is mounting. Attendance has increased. The merchandise is flying. The team is finally getting national attention. Do they maintain the momentum or allow internal resistance to cause it to stall? Additionally, there is a fan base that is more active, vociferous, and divided than before. Loud and devoted are Clark's supporters. They contend that she is more than just the Fever's face. She is the league's future. They're not incorrect. Every time she takes the court, TV ratings rise. Like no one since Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi, she has brought the WNBA into the mainstream. However, her detractors claim that she is very demanding, that she ought to wait her turn, and that she must prove herself before taking on a coach on national television. Let's be honest, that criticism smells like dread. Aversion to change. Aversion to the novel. Worried that the status quo and tenure-based prior structure is collapsing due to the weight of indisputable star power. Paige Becker's name often comes up in these conversations. When they squared off, Clark did not only outscore her despite her quiet strength, calm efficiency, and coachability. The game was under her control. Becker's is outstanding. Clark, however, is transformative. Their rivalry is still in its infancy, however. There was a tinge of edge to Becker's cool-headed post-game interview. "They got us today," she said. "But we will see them again." There was no animosity, only a simmering resolve that promises fire the next time. Well, fans are ready. Perhaps the most famous rivalry in the league will be Beckers versus Clark, based more on intellect than stake. In real time, two different legacies and two different archetypes are being written. Now that they are back in Indiana, the Fever front office has to make a critical choice. Support their coach and risk upsetting the athlete who is making them famous, or restructure the system to give Clark the support, independence, and modern framework she needs to be successful. They cannot do both. The barrier is disappearing. It is no longer suitable to use half measurements. This tantrum was much more than an emotional outburst. It was a line in the sand. Caitlin Clark is tired of compromising. I am tired of waiting around. I am tired of being courteous only to keep my ego in check. Her goals are simple: to win, to take the initiative, to execute her routine, and to change the game. This explosion might have been the team's trigger. Because sometimes a little amount of fire is required to burn away the dead weight. Regardless of what happens next, whether White changes or departs, or if Clark has to put up with another season of philosophical misalignment, one thing is certain: Caitlin Clark is tired of waiting. And the WNBA makes things much more fascinating. Please use the comment area to express your opinions. To ensure you do not miss anything, subscribe and turn on all alerts. Once you click the video on the screen, we will see you in the next one. Please share your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.